What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Kyle. This is going to be our first long form video. It's going to be about my son Tyson, who is 6 years old, shooting his first deer. So essentially, ended up getting a crossbow, got that Barnett, Barnett Wildcat. Picked it up at Walmart for $188. I think it's a phenomenal budget-friendly crossbow. I've been hunting since last year, so going on a year now, that I kind of introduced myself into the world of deer hunting. I bow hunt. That's my wife's bow. My bow is actually currently out in my truck because I plan on going out to a WMA here soon, hopefully in the next day or two. But he knows that I've been going out hunting. He's helped me put out corn, helped me put out mineral lick, and he's seen deer that I've been able to harvest. So that really is what got him into wanting to be able to go out and harvest his own deer. So once I got the crossbow, took him out in the backyard. He's been shooting a Mossy Oak Tomcat 2, which is a little crossbow, or not crossbow, compound that we got from Sports Academy, or Academy Sports rather. So he already is familiar with, all the safety things as far as, not pointing it at anybody, only point it at what you want to, I guess, send the arrow down to, for lack of better words. So once I was able to show him, where he needed to be aiming at on the target, which is a little 3D deer that I got, he did really well. But with him being only 6 years old, I still wasn't fully comfortable with allowing him to be able to put the red dot on the deer himself. So I guess I'll get to that once we get to that part of the story. So I guess now we're kind of at the part where I actually started taking him out into the woods with me. So I'm lucky enough to be able to have some family that has about 1.5 acres that backs up to probably around 150 acres of woods. So I set up a blind down there in their woods. We put out some corn, put out some mineral lick, and we started getting some really nice pictures of some deer on camera. There's one in particular that I wanted him to be able to harvest. It was a little spike that had broken off one side of his antlers. When I showed my son the picture of him, he said, "Oh, it's a unicorn." And so I was like, well, that's the one that I hope walks out when we're in the blind. So once I started taking him out into the blind, with him being 6 years old, he gets very antsy very quickly. So little trick, I actually brought his switch with him. Now I don't want that to be a forever thing, but with him being 6, it helps him, stay quiet and stay still, playing his little Minecraft game while we're out in the woods. So we probably went out there 2 or 3 times before his little spike made an appearance. Now he did very well those two or 3 times that we went out. I mean, we were out there for probably 4.5 hours, as early as going at being out in the woods at 5:30 in the morning and leaving at I think like around 10. He did a really good job. I was very proud of him for being able to sit still that long in a little cramped blind. So once his little spike came out, I think we're going to end up giving this guy a little name. We're going to call him Fred. So once Fred walked out and came up to the corn pile, he sat there and ate for probably, I don't know, what felt like 10 minutes. But he finally started working his way toward the scrape that I made, and he came to a stop, and he turned and looked directly at us as I'm sitting there rotating the crossbow super slow to be able to where we can be able to get the sight on for him. So I looked down the sight, was able to put it right where it needed to be. Then I backed away from the crossbow. I said, "All right, bud, hop up there and shoot it." And he stood up very slowly and reached over and pulled the trigger. And this is, I mean, I've only harvested, let's see, what are we at now? We're at 3 deer total in my life. I'm about to be 32 years old. And in the 3 deer that I've harvested myself, this deer is kicked the highest. Good old Fred had a high donkey kick on him. And he took off running, and Tyson turned and looked at me and said, "Did we get him?" I I said, yeah, bud, you got him. I said, all right, now listen, listen. And you could hear him running, and then you could hear him crashing. And then he'd get back up and run some more. And then it would just went completely silent. We didn't hear anything. So I said, all right, let's hop up and go check the arrow. So we went up and got up and went and looked at the arrow, or the bolt rather. And it was, had a little bit of blood on it. But unfortunately I used a red bolt, not the smartest decision on my part. So it was kind of hard to tell, but the veins did look like they had a little, some good indication of some good blood on it. So then we started looking around, and I finally found where the trail started. So he did really good being able to track his deer. So once we were able to find the blood, I was like, all right, bud, now we got to go track it. So he looked down, and I think he lost it maybe twice during the whole time we tracked it. Now we tracked this deer for probably 100 yards. So we go through the woods, come to stop a few times. He's like, Daddy, I don't see it anymore. I don't see it anymore. So we ended up finding it again, and he got right back on it. And then probably, I don't know, 20 foot before we actually got up on the deer, I see it laying in some brush. I said, all right, bud, now look around, look around. And he goes, oh, I see it, I see it, I see it. And we ran up on it, and here's the picture from when he first put his hands on his deer. Now, my son's kind of squeamish just like I am around, blood, so I didn't make him put it on his face. I know it's a tradition, and but I didn't do it either. So I'm just not that kind of I guess individual to be okay with putting blood on my face. So I'm not gonna make my son do it either. But once we took this picture, I said, all right, bud, now we gotta drag it out of the woods. So I grabbed one antler, and he grabbed the broken off antler, and we dragged that thing probably 100, 120 yards through the woods up to the truck. And once we got it loaded up there, we drove it probably an hour and a half home, took it to the processor. And as they were sitting there doing what they do at the processor, my son's sitting there watching it. And I told the guy up there, I said, hey, I want to get the head so that way we can get a Euro mounted for him. So he gave me the head. We ended up taking it to Turkey Mountain Taxidermy in Rome, Georgia. If y'all ever need anything done, I would highly suggest you go check them out. They do a great job. And I think it probably took 2 weeks, and we went up there, picked up the Euro mount, and I brought it back and was able to give it to my son, and he was super excited. It's currently hanging in his room. Well, I appreciate y'all hanging around and listening to my story. We're going to try to start doing some more videos, hopefully actually live hunting. But I hope y'all have a great day, and I hope your deer season is going phenomenal, and God bless.